G'day viewers, welcome to another super helpful, super cool repair video from the Goat Shed located in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia, way here down under. Now today is Wednesday the 21st of March 2024 and today we're going to be talking about Gottliebs spinner card. Now first of all, it's 21 degrees Celsius outside, which equates to 69.8 degrees Fahrenheit, so close enough to 70 degrees I guess. It's a partly cloudy day and we may even be expecting a bit of rain lately. Now spinner card was made in 1969. There were 2,650 of those made according to the IPDB. The attaboy game of this was Hearts and Spades, and it was an Ed Krinsky design with Art Stenholm artwork. Now this is an interesting machine because it had beaded panels on the back box, and this occurred mainly only in 1969. Now interestingly enough, the next machine that this owner has purchased is a Four Seasons. It's a four-player game from 69 and it actually preceded the production of spinner card. So the machine that came after it subsequently was called Hilo. Now I'd never heard of Hilo, but it turns out that it's the Italian version of spinner card. And wow, there were 5,000 of those made. That's quite a lot of games. Now, spinner card is a fairly popular game, and it came out in the halcyon days of pinball in the late 60s. I love the 60s games. I think they were the pinnacle of most manufacturers. Now, this particular game once again was bought at auction. We did a magnetron for the same owner only last month, and they all came out of America, out of the United States. Captain's Auctions, I believe. I'm not sure how long the guy that imported them had them, but yeah, it was Captain's Auctions. So we're doing a visual inspection of this. There's Spanky up in the bottom right hand corner. The back glass is in reasonable condition, a bit of a problem around the score reels there, as there often is. We've already done all the mechs in the back box, and the only other thing I think worth mentioning here as we were looking around, one really bizarre thing we've noticed, this has bally flipper buttons on it. There they are, look at that, bally flipper buttons just here. So I'm not sure why, when, where that's occurred, but very interesting. Now, spinner card has a fairly unique feature, and it's called a spin unit. Now this is a special stepper that they designed to work with this particular game and one or two others. Now just checking with Graham, he feels that this spin unit was also used in most likely Paradise and Dodge City. Now both of those are 60s games as well. Here's the back box, there's the big gong unit there, the replay unit. We have the 0 to 9 unit there, another bell there, and all the scoring relays. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in on this if I can. That unit there, as you can see, is the spin relay. You can actually read that there. Now we've rebuilt that, and that spin relay works in conjunction with the big stepper on the motorboard. So essentially what it does, we saw the back box a moment ago, there's all those cards on there. You actually spin a card, so it lights up the different cards, and once you get them all alight, you can progress to specials. And when we do troubleshooting on the game, we'll go through all the rule sets and everything. But that unit there is quite critical to be used in conjunction with the big spin unit. Let's take a look at the motorboard. What you're looking at here is the actual spin unit, this mech here. Now look, essentially it's basically a brilliant way to randomise a feature on the game. With a normal stepper, it will increment or decrement, therefore this is like a ball count unit. But it's not a ball count unit. So what it does, with the use of that spinner we showed you in the back box, it randomly selects a card. And you've got no way of knowing what's going to happen. And of course how it works, because you're actually winding the stepper up with the torsion spring, this being the torsion spring here, the more steps you have, the greater power that's going to have when it resets off the reset mech. So once it resets and the playfield switches, or it advances actually by the target switches, playfield switches on there. Well, once again we'll go through that when we actually do troubleshooting and show you how the game works, but as you do different things it advances. Now I'm just going to operate that, but what I want to point out to you is there is something wrong with this stepper unit. Now I don't know if anyone's noticed by looking at the video, see the gap on these switches here? It's really wide. Now straight away that tells us there's something wrong. Now any of you that have watched our previous videos on steppers may realise that. Well, just reset that stepper. Well, it's reset now, and we'll advance it. Now a couple of things that we're going to notice. There's the cutout for the final step, so that allows it to stop so that you don't overwind the spring. Now this stepper is reset. Like I said, I've pushed the reset plunger in. Now we'll advance it. Now just slowly, and I want you to watch something when we're advancing it. You watch the coil stop here. See that rise up, rise down. That's wrong, something's broken in there. Okay, we're going to keep stepping. But instead of the cutout unit coming towards us, in other words, in the clockwise direction, it's going in the anti-clockwise direction and going away. And then all of a sudden, the stepper locks in because there's a peg here. That would be for the end of stroke. Now what the problem would be is that we've spoken about the zero position on a step unit. The zero position on this step unit, oh, here are them birds going by, is in the wrong position. It's on the wrong side of the stud. Now what we're going to do, we're going to service this step unit and we're going to show you what we do and how we're going to fix that. But just before we do, let's just go around to the back and show you the spin unit, and so you can see how that works. So here's the unit from the other side. There's simply no contact discs on there. It's simply a spin unit, which is exactly like a playfield spinner. It has the metal arm that comes down, connected into the switch. So this is the switch here that sends the pulse to the small stepper in the back box. So what we're going to do, it'll sort of half work, so we'll operate it by stepping it up from the other side. And away we go. Now that'll probably do. Now what we'll do, you watch what happens now. We'll release that and you keep your eye on this here. It operates the switch up and down. But this is somewhat sluggish. So we're going to rebuild this stepper and it should work pretty good after that. Just over the back here, this is a capacitor and a resistor, I think, and possibly a diode. I can't remember. Yes, I believe there is. And that's sort of used as a delay in a delay circuit. So that's probably used in conjunction with this. We'll have to have a look at that a little later on. I don't know, if you were doing a full rebuild, you'd probably change all that capacitor and everything, but it doesn't look like it's leaked or anything. But I don't know a lot about capacitors, so I'll have to study. Okay, a further visual inspection of this game reveals a couple of things. We have a wire here, which is out of the loom, going right back to the Jones plug, and it's been joined. Now something's happened. There looks like sort of like a burn mark on there. Now whether someone's left a soldering iron on it, I mean, goodness knows, it's the same colour wire. It's a brown white, and as I say, it goes back to a Jones plug. Now goodness knows, what we're going to do, we're going to attempt to feed that back through the loom and tidy it up a bit. That looks damn horrible, for sure and certain, so we'll do that. Just a little bit over here we have our ball count unit. Now it's not working very well either. Graham will just operate that. It's at home position now. Ooh, it doesn't want to even move.
It's terrible.
Look at that, it's really stuck. So we're going to service that as well. It won't reset.
No,
it's had it.
It's one of the worst ones I've seen.
That's bad. Okay, now we have a switchblade here. That was a part that we found in the bottom of the machine. Now fortunately we found it because we have a broken lug here. See that lug? That belongs there. Now that switch is on position 4D, motor position 4D, and 1D, I beg your pardon, 1D. And what that switch does, I had a quick look, they were fairly clever in their designs when you get used to working on the games. This has, let's have a closer look at it, an orange and green wire. Oh, that's a little bit bare through there. We'll have to fix that up too. Orange and green wire. Now, orange and green wire is part of the replay unit circuit. That's a pretty well a given on most of the early games. I can't even think into the later ones, but it probably is too. And what that switch does, that adds a replay when you do a completed sequence. So it's probably got something to do with the cards or something like that. But that's what that switch does. Well, that broken off, you can get as many sequence completed as you like and you'll get no replay. So this switchblade here is the perfect match for that. What we're going to do is pull this stack apart and we're going to replace that in there. So that was very generous of someone to give us one of those. The relays are all out of position now. They're all getting serviced, or they're about to get serviced.
Half of them are done.
Well, we've cleaned the motorboard up a bit. We'll go through all the score motor switches. Motor will come up. We'll lubricate the motor, as we've shown you before. And then we'll start on the playfield. But more importantly, we want to illustrate this spin unit. I think that's important, so that everyone will get an idea of these. Now, just one other thing while we're doing that. Here's the circuit board off the small spin unit stepper. Now, as you can see, it's quite badly burnt out. We've actually replaced that. We have those in stock. Now, there's a left and a right one of those. This particular one is A8934. So there's a left and a right, and the other one is 8933, A8933. Now, we posted this on our Facebook page just the other day, and we also posted it in the EM Pinball group. And we also got a lot of people, all up in both groups. I think we had 4 people say, oh, that happened on my spinner card. Now, I think it's because on the old little ASFS step units, they used to use the little contact switch pad with no butterfly in the middle. Now let's see. The older in the 60s FS armature relays used this style of pad. It's not raised on the edges here like this one. That's the latest style. Now we actually changed the one in spinner card to this style. So from this style to that style. I think the reason they changed it, these ones tended to give more, I don't know, slop and caused all this arcing. I'm going to write to a good friend of mine in Seattle, and he was working on games back in the 70s, so he would have a good, probably, explanation as to why that happened. But holding it there, look at all that carbon tracking and everything. It's really, really bad. Now remember, look at that. Remember we had in our last video, we had that one that was smoking on Pro Football. Well, that one there, we've even got a hole in it. Like, this has had it. That won't work at all. But they did make some changes. And, you know, Gottlieb engineers were keeping fairly up to date with things they did, or on top of things. Spinner card's also a game which has the early motor switch dogs in it. Now, let me show you what I mean there. So, here's the motor. Let's have a look. Where can we see the dog? Yeah, so the dog has no... It's just straight. That's the end of the dog there. Probably show you one in the short throw position. Oh, there you go, over the back there. Let's show you that one. That's the end of the dog. Now that's the bit that hits the groove here when the motor stops. But the old dog, they decided could give trouble. It could actually push in and not, because of its design, it could push in like that and not come back into the dog carrier, get stuck out, causing problems with the switches. So they changed the dog to this style here. Try to get some focus on that for you. I know. Ah, there. Hold it a bit further back. So that's got that bit on it where that's more just flat. So, and see this one here, that's got a bit of wear on it. That was causing us a bit of grief. Wasn't too bad, but we changed it. So it makes it harder because that's pointy to get stuck. There's more meat for it to fit on in the dog carrier, so to speak. So they were always on the lookout for things like that. And this coming weekend we've got a training course and we'll be talking about things like that with the attendees to make people aware of what's going on. Now just while I've been talking here, Graham looks like he's pulled out the unit. Here it is here. And I'm now going to show you what we're talking about with the zero position. Yeah. So, is there anything you want to add to that, Graham, about that unit so far?
Well, this top switch wasn't even functioning.
Oh, okay, rightio. Yeah. So, this bin unit would not have been working, period. The owner took the game home, bought it at the auction, plugged it in and said, yeah, it all works, that's great, the grandkids have been playing it. Well, yeah, I guess the lights came on, the grandkids were happy about that, and the bells rang, ding, 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 ding.
Well, that's about it.
But the stepper unit, that's about it. Here's a good look at this thing here. Now, if anyone wants to have a good look at a video, I constantly recommend people have a look at Mark Gibson's Fun with Pinball, and in there you'll find this spinner card, a YouTube clip, and how it actually works. Of course, we're going to show you as well, but what I want to point out to you now is that the escapement wheel will be out. Now, it's that far out. See what's happened here? What have I done with my pointer? See how this stud here, which is one of the studs for the cutoff, it's actually leaned into the torsion spring and it's bent it. That torsion spring should be straight up and down. I mean, we'll have a look how it is. That'll straighten out okay, but this is how long that's been out of order. Now the other thing is, there, that stud, that silver stud there that I'm pointing to, yeah, that one, I really need to repaint my pointer, don't I? That is the zero stop position. Now, that is at zero, but the zero stop is the bottom end of this stud here, which is down under here. So that's out 180 degrees. That's how we knew there was something wrong with this. So let's just pull that apart and we'll show you. So you remember this stud here, that silver one there, was up here before. Now it's resting against the zero stop position where it belongs. Now, if you've watched any of our stepper videos before, we've done a whole series of stepper videos how to adjust and set these up. But what I want to show you now is that I'll just wind that torsion spring up. I have straightened it out a little bit. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was. I could make that a little bit better if I want. And we'll show you what a big difference that makes. So now you can see that going back and hitting the zero stop like it should. So now that we've sort of fixed it up and wound it up properly, we can step. And it'll come round to the 10th step. And now you watch, it'll operate much more efficiently. There you go. So I'll just count the steps that it does. I think it's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's reached the cutaway, so it can't drive anymore. And you can now see that well, I think that's right anyway, so I'm going to have a good look at that. So that's certainly working a lot better. Also, just looking at this step unit here, there's another little problem. That's on back the front, so the groove should be facing outwards towards this way. So that'll can give problems with the coil going in properly. Anyway, overall we've still got a fair bit of work to do on this, so let's get in and do that work, and then we'll fix it all up and show you what's going on. There's the sticker still on there. Hope it stays there in the ultrasonic cleaner. These little rubber grommets here just hold the little neck on for the spinner. It's a plate, it's sort of loose. And we've got the inside switch open circuit to reset coil and the second switch open circuit to the 8 coil. So they're just your limit switches or end of stroke switches. Alright, let's do it. Alright, now we've completed rebuilding this, fully disassembled it as per our previous instruction, and remember this is essentially a ball count unit with this little bit added on the side and this little plate, this teardrop style plate. Now the interesting thing was that when we actually pulled it apart, you can sort of see the point on this here. Have a look at this one, that's the one that was on it. There's no point, but what someone had done, they'd actually made a little bit of a point, and I'll turn it around, with a piece of, well, it looks like it was a light shield at some point in time. So that's their little attempt at making a little tip on there. Now, we reached out and found that maybe 1 or 2 people have made or could make those on a 3D printer. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video a couple of games that use that particular mech, and I also emailed PBR and asked was the part number available, and that part number for that is A11009 is not available. Now, Steve Young said they could fabricate one for us, but Graham said, look, I think I've got one or two of those. Well, it took him a while, but he finally found it. So that's a brand new part in there. So that's quite incredible, isn't it? To think that he had one of those. He can't remember where he got it.
Saving it 30 years.
Yeah, we had it. He's had it. Did you hear that? 30 years he's had it.
So it's going to come in handy one day.
So I think that's obviously something that does wear out, because it would get a fair flogging. And yeah, I think people could make those or 3D print them. I mean, this 3D printing is sort of something that was just coming in when I was still in the office machine game, when I retired 10 years ago. I mean, it was around, but it wasn't popular. But today it seems, well, I think there's web pages you can go, even for pinball parts, to make your own pinball carts. What are they? They have a file extension of STI, don't they? Something like that. Anyway, we're pretty pleased about that. So there it is from the back end, and now I'm going to get Graham to operate that, and you watch the spinner, what it does. So we'll click it up, maximum steps, I guess. There it goes. Now we'll hit that reset, and there you watch this and see the switches are going there.
It's a random thing.
Yeah, it's a random, and remember, each time that switch fires, it fires a little relay in the back box. So it's totally random, and picks the card. So that's good. So that's that side of it. When we polished the spinner, Graham thought it would be appropriate to finish it off with a funky sticker. So there you go, we put a little goat shed sticker on there. Hopefully that stays there for ever, and when we're long gone and Spanky's all dead, someone might remember the goat shed. Wouldn't that be fabulous, Spanky? He's just down there having a little look. There he is. Where are you? There he is. Having a look at see what's going on. Now let's just have a look at the other side of this step unit. So here's the other side of it, just the standard unit all cleaned up. One great thing about these anodised, well, I'll call them anodised, I think there's a word for it. They polish up really good on the buffing wheel.
You just don't take it too extreme, because you take it off.
The detent latch down here was pretty badly pitted and worn. I mean, it still is. I'll hit that with a Dremel, but to keep it, it doesn't really do much. It's just that was it's dragged, got a bit of wear over the years, or drag off the bottom of the reset arm probably, because it was out of adjustment. Remember, that was jumping up and down, we illustrated before. That's all fixed now. What that was just loose. The drive arm upstop was good. We had one of these drive arm upstops broken the other day. This one here, which is fairly odd. You know, we do have some brand new ones. I think that's only about the second one we've ever done. So that was good. We put new coil sleeves in, and we've fully serviced the stepper. We've put a drop of oil on there, and the only other thing we've got to do, we found this part here, well, we've done it, I should say. That's that insulator block. We found the original one was busted. We tried to sort of put a glue on it, but it still didn't work, so we pinched one out of another part,
Another stepper.
a replay unit. You could make those, and just we're in a hurry, so we decided not to do that. Alright, well, now we've got the ball count unit out of the game. Doing that up, remember that wasn't working. But what we're going to do, we're going to end this video now, otherwise it's going to end up to be too long a video. So we thought it was interesting to see the spin unit mechanism and how they work. And I will remind you, if I didn't already say, I think I did, but have a look at Mark Gibson's Fun with Pinball webpage, and he has an explanation, a very good explanation of how they work, all in writing there for you to have a look at. So hopefully this is of use to someone for now and in the future. I'm sure it will be. And don't forget to please consider subscribing to our channel. giving us the big thumbs up for our work. And remember to join our Facebook group, the Goat Shed EM Pinball Repair Specialists. But when you go to join that, for goodness sake, answer the 3 simple questions, please. So many people don't answer those questions, and we've got to investigate their profile and make sure they're interested in pinball. We're not trying to be the biggest group in the world. We just want to be the most helpful group in the world. So this has been another Goat Shed presentation.